meeting like we normally have. There'll be no motions made, but the purpose of this workshop is to allow the citizens who might be having trouble with Comcast to come up to the microphone. You're gonna state your name, your address, and then you'll have time to speak to the issues that you may be experiencing. We do have a representative here tonight with us, and appreciate Jay Yeager working on this. We have Kim Sasser Hayden here with us. Kim's in the front row there. She is the Senior Manager, External Affairs, Comcast. She's out of Nashville. Would you want to address us first real quick, Kim? And then we'll let the citizens come up and say what's on their mind. Yeah, right there, please.
Sure, no, we're happy to be here. We will have a manager for external affairs that will manage our government affairs and community relations here in Knoxville. We've had someone in that position previously, and unfortunately she left us to go to a job at Oak Ridge National Lab. We're very happy for her. So we do have an open position that we will be filling. Once we fill that position, that person will report to me in Nashville, but I'm happy to share my contact information with you guys. If you come up against constituents that are having issues, feel free to send that to me, and I can send it through to our team that handles escalations, and we can do our best to get it resolved for your constituents. And Jay has all of my contact information, so if I didn't give you a card, or if I run out of cards, I'm happy to have him share my information with you guys, and you can reach out to me directly.
Very good, Kim.
So I'm happy to listen and do what I can to help.
Thank you very much. Also like to thank Channel 95 for covering this for us. The comments for this meeting, commissioners will go over to ACTV Channel 95 committee whenever they meet on their next meeting. I think it's in August sometime perhaps. Is that right, Commissioner McCain? We got Scott, District 8. Sorry, 7. District 4 walking in the door. District 4 over there, Shane Val. Tim Isabel's walking in. Catherine, District 6, Oak Ridge. Waddell, District 3, Andersonville. What other areas you cover?
Andersonville High School, Clinton, North.
Commissioner McCamey, 5. And what areas? You got quite a bit there. Vice Chairman Creasy, sir, Oak Ridge. What number? 7?
The alphabet community.
What district are you? 7.
Yeah.
I always have a hard time with Oak Ridge trying to get all those. 6. Clinton and Oak Ridge. Yes, sir. Thank y'all. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started. Any citizen wants to come up to the microphone, state your name, your address, and what type of issues you may be having.
My name's Robert Anderson. I live at 275 Norman Road, which is right at the county line off of Strader Road, more or less, Clinton Highway. If you walked out of the back of Lambert's Junkyard at the county line up there and walked across the hill, you'd be at my house.
Whose district is that falling in?
That one right there in the middle.
I'm the problem child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's taken my constituents a little longer to figure it out, I guess.
But we went to, or well, I went to Oak Ridge to try to get Comcast in at the house. Literally, I can walk out on my front porch and probably throw a rock if I could throw well enough and hit the line that's right in front of the house. So while that was going on down there, I have Comcast business at my shop. And for giggles, the guy down at the Oak Ridge office, which was not very helpful to start with, but that's a different story, didn't want to do a whole lot down there. He recommended that I contact Comcast Business. If I was happy with them, contact them. And I did. So while Oak Ridge is working on trying to see about getting somebody out to run line, I contacted Comcast Business, so it's both going on at the same time. Comcast Business assured me they could get it into the house. Comcast Oak Ridge never returned my phone calls, never called me back, never give any information. Well, finally, after I get a hold of somebody down in the Oak Ridge office, they decide that I am unserviceable. My address is unserviceable, yet there's the big silver line running right in front of my house. Tracy's been to the house, he's seen it. It's literally about 135 to 150 feet from the house. I've made phone call after phone call trying to get someone to explain to me why they will not run it into the house. Comcast Business finally gets the technician that come out to the house to call me. He tells me that there is some kind of a county-wide mandate that they have to run it in the same way the electricity runs into the house. Nobody can tell me that that is a true or false statement. I've contacted people in the county and nobody has said that that's correct or incorrect, or is that a Comcast issue? So I don't know who to believe. If Comcast is telling me one thing, that it's a county issue, that they can't run it just straight from the pole into the house that's right in front of the house, but they want $4,500 to come all the way back around behind the house, 900 and something feet, and run it back to my house. Why? It's right in front of the house. And while I'm talking to the guy that come out to do that, I ask him, can I not just run conduit out to the front of the house, to that telephone pole that's in front of the house? You run it underground. If you're wanting to service this address, I'll do my part. And he said, well, I've got to have approval to do that. And he gave me a guy's name. I give it to Tracy. Tracy tried to contact Comcast themselves. He didn't get nowhere. You talk to somebody in Atlanta, you talk to somebody in Pennsylvania, Arizona, you name it. You cannot get a hold of anybody in Knoxville. You can't get a hold of anybody in Oak Ridge that will do anything to make a decision or give you information, okay? All I want is internet. I don't want all this. So Comcast Business finally calls back and says, well, we'll give you a package deal that includes telephone, internet, 4G backup, I don't know what all. It was unreal. And $252 a month, and we'll run it at our cost. I don't want to pay $252 a month. I mean, I don't know what Comcast costs, but I don't pay that at the shop. I've got it at the shop. I pay like $100 a month. Less than that probably, but say it's $100 a month. My whole gripe is I cannot get a hold of anybody to tell me why, what, when, where, how to get a hold of somebody. You call the 800 number, you call Oak Ridge, or you go physically to Oak Ridge office, them people's lost. They won't tell you anything. They will not give you anybody's phone number to call. The technician that actually called me back from Comcast Business, the guy that I was talking to there, managed to get the technician that actually come out to the house. And he said, yeah, we can run it underground, but you'll have to get approval. He gave me a guy's name. I give it to Tracy. I can't get a hold of this guy. You go to Oak Ridge, well, we can't give you his phone number. Well, give him a message to call me. I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, I'll give you my phone number. If you don't want to give me his, I'll give you mine. And he's never called. So I don't know where I'm at. Anymore, we're in a digital age, in case y'all don't know this. We really are. And if you don't have high-speed internet at your house, you're kind of defeating a lot of purposes of what it was built for. It ain't just about streaming TV or anything else. There's so much more to having internet access. It devalues your house. Like if I wanted to sell my house, I don't know what it would be that it would devalue it, but think about that. I mean, if you go to sell a house and you can't have a high-speed internet access in the house, that's got kids, for one, is going to buy that house if they can't get it. $4,500 to run it all the way around the back of the world to come into my house is kind of stupid. It's right in front of the house. I will put the conduit in for them to run it underground, but I can't get a hold of anybody other than the technician to tell them that. The technician agreed, yeah, we can do that. But you've got to have this guy's approval. He gave me his name, I give it to Tracy. But you can't get a hold of him. So, you know, and then what choices do we have in this county? Is Spectrum or WOW or Charter or any of them that we have in Knoxville, are there any of those in Anderson County? Why not? Why are we not going after them, giving them incentive to bring that into Anderson County? I mean, we have no competition here. Comcast is it, and that's it. I mean, but I just wanted, I'm not really that hard of a person to get along with. I just want information. I want to know why I can't get it run to the house. That's kind of what I'm at. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Looks like if you did it at $252 a month, even if you decided to do that, it'd be $3,000. Well, it's $3,024 versus the $4,500. But yeah, I got you. Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure, Kim, please.
Can we keep a list with everybody's contact information? That way I can take these issues back and come back to you. So email address, phone number, and address for everyone that has an issue.
Has anyone passed around a sign-in sheet? I'm keeping notes, but let's get a signage. Who's got a piece of paper I can borrow?
That way I can follow up directly on issues, and I'm happy to.
Creasy's got a piece of paper. We'll pass it around, have everybody sign in, put your contact information, and you can take that with you, Kim.
Yeah. And I will say, just as a follow-up to anyone, if you get a follow-up call from us, it will come from an 800 number. I know a lot of people screen those when they get calls, but all of our office numbers are 800 numbers, so just as an FYI.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. Commissioner, Vice Chairman Creasy was just letting me know we're not going to have a public hearing, folks. They withdrew, so we can go a little longer if we need to. Creasy, or I'm sorry, McCain, go ahead, too.
Leave that on the podium, so
Yeah, good idea.
Speak, they can sign in.
Yeah, be sure to have if you're willing to, put your phone number and things of that nature. And I got Kim's card here too, so if you need a contact information, we'll follow up. And again, Kim drove in from Nashville, and I really appreciate you doing that. I know that's not really what you have to do, but I appreciate you coming. It means a lot to the people here, so that's good. Did anyone have any questions for Mark Anderson, Robert Mark Anderson? Good? Okay. Anybody else want to come up next and speak? Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you need, do I have to talk into this or can I just
Yeah, that's
talk?
fine. Yeah, please do.
My name is Marsha Livingston. I live on Mountain Road. I'm District 3. Went with Denver and Josh. I'm here to whine about the fact that there's no competition. I want to totally emphasize what he just said. I probably have been with Comcast, Xfinity, whatever they call themselves now, for almost 3 decades. And it's certainly not by choice. It's because I don't have any choice. The last time they jacked my price up $30 in a month, $30 a month it was going to go up, I decided I'm done. So I started calling around, and I called Spectrum, and I thought I was getting a really good deal. I was on the phone for 30 minutes talking, yeah, I want this, I want that, yeah, let's do that. Okay, we had the package all picked out. When she said, where do you live? Oh, too bad. We don't have the franchise there. We can't help you. And that's what I want to know. I want information about if Comcast has had this franchise that's got to have been close to 30 years or more, because I've been with them that long. Why? Why don't we have any other people who this commission will franchise, any other companies that they will franchise? At first, in my little mind, it made sense, because when I moved to where I live, it wasn't densely populated. It was out in the county where I wanted to be, kind of a mini farm. But think about District 3. I mean, it's much more densely populated than it was 30 years ago. And there should be enough people that we could support having more than one franchise for our cable and internet and so forth needs. So is there a reason does this commission have the authority to give a franchise to competing companies? In this country, we believe in the free market. You know, competition is supposed to make everybody do a better job, right? So why not? Does anybody know the answer to that?
It all depends on what kind of service you're wanting. Is it internet that you're wanting?
Well, I have a bundled service. I went with the telephone and the TV and the internet, but I could divvy it up. I'm not that particular. You know, if I could get somebody else to give me a better price on one of those, I wouldn't care. But it just doesn't seem right that there's no other company you can go with to get a cable.
Sure. Marcia, I can answer that. I think this commission would give anybody a franchise that wanted to come in here. The problem is nobody wants to come in because they have to overbuild the people who are here now, which is Comcast. And
Overbuild? What do you mean?
they would have to come in and run their lines right on top of the other lines.
Okay.
And they're not going to do that because half the people are going to stay with Comcast, and so they would only get half of what they thought they would get if they were the only one here.
So you're saying it's not worth, Spectrum's not going to offer to come in
To come
here?
in and overbuild, they're just not going to do that. Second, Anderson County does not have to issue a franchise. Anybody that wants to come in here can go to the state of Tennessee and get a franchise. AT&T has no franchise with Anderson County, but they're here and they're providing cable service, internet, and all this, you know, right now. But again, some people don't qualify. They don't have it in their area. But they didn't come to Anderson County to get a franchise. They got theirs through the state of Tennessee.
But on my bill, it says that the Comcast has been franchised by the Anderson
Right.
County Commission.
We negotiated a franchise agreement with Comcast, but they did not have to do that. They did that just out of courtesy to us. We put some things in it that they wouldn't have to have in there if they had went through the state of Tennessee. We don't have the same agreement with AT&T that we do with Comcast. But any cable company that wants to come in can get a franchise through the state of Tennessee. The county does not have to franchise them. We can't keep anybody out, and we can't give it to just one or two or whatever, you know.
Well, if I could dig up some company that wanted to come in here, would this commission give them the franchise as well?
I'm sure
If
we
they
would
were
vote.
willing to do the
Yeah,
expense.
if they want to come in and overbuild Comcast, I'd be glad to. And I'm a former Comcast employee, so I would be glad to I mean, I pay $282 a month for mine, and I've got the bundle, so. But if I could get it cheaper, I would do that. But like I said, there's nobody, in my opinion, that's going to come in here and overbuild, because, right now, I think if we have 25 homes per mile, they will extend it if we can come up with 25 homes per mile in our present franchise. But it doesn't matter if 21 of them take it or 15 of them. If there's 25 homes in that 1 mile, or Comcast would extend it for that 1 mile. But, getting that, and especially in the rural areas, like part of my area, almost all of Briceville and Rosedale, there's no way that they can meet that. So it's not ever going to happen there.
Well, it just seems kind of un-American, not to have the competition that we all.
Yeah, but like
I've been
I
hearing
said,
how competition is good for school systems for
That's
so
right.
long. I've wanted.
Yeah, I disagree with that also.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm sure that if a company came in here and said, hey, we're willing to come in and provide it for anybody that, whether it's 25 homes per mile or whatever number they want to set on it, that this commission would grant them a franchise, or they could just go to the state and bypass us 100% like AT&T did.
Okay, thank you.
Marcia, I didn't catch your road address.
Mountain, 323 Mountain Road.
Thank you. Did you have something, Steve?
I just want to mention that, because I hadn't heard it come up yet, kind of did. AT&T does have coverage over a lot of the county, but they only go where they want to go. In Oak Ridge, I think in Clinton, and part of the contract the county has for internet and phone services is AT&T, and another part of it is Comcast. We kind of split between the two because we were able to negotiate better pricing. So there is some competition. I had AT&T in the past at my house and figured out I got better service from Comcast, and it was substantially better. I know I have friends in Oak Ridge that have AT&T service, and it's wonderful. And I had AT&T service that wasn't wonderful. I went to Comcast, and theirs has been very good. So it really varies the neighborhood you're in, how far you are from these hub things that they have. But any company that wants to move into Anderson County can move into Anderson County. It's just that because there's already a couple of major companies already servicing around Anderson County, and even though in some places it's only one. I mean, 30 years ago, you must have had, if you had internet service 30 years ago, it was a telephone modem.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
Oak Ridge
that was just
Cablevision.
regular telephone wire. They can't do it on a telephone wire now.
Oak Ridge
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
$7.87. Yeah. Marcia, thank you for coming, and appreciate your comments, really do. Who's next? Don't be shy, we don't bite. Come on, thank you. State your name and your address, please.
Karen Schubert, Ross Cemetery Road, Medford, Tennessee.
Thank you for coming, Karen.
Okay, my biggest gripe with Comcast is I have a 94-year-old father, and I have cameras in his home. And July 30th of last year, no, May 30th of last year, my mother fell, breaking her neck, and it killed her. Comcast was out at the time. We couldn't tell what happened up to that moment. There's been other times that we need to be watching them. It's no longer her, but him. And those cameras go down. We have talked to Comcast. I've had Einstein ran. 28% of my calls have been dropped. Plus, I also own a little old beauty shop, and I lose business because of Comcast lines. They keep telling me the lines are old and dilapidated, or there's a line down, or it's back bleeding into somebody else's house. My biggest problem, though, I need to run my business to keep them home, but I need to watch my daddy. And I'm having a lot of issues. And my prices, they're different all the time. It's never a set price. But my biggest issue with Comcast is my lines are down, and I need to keep an eye on my family and the people around it.
Thank you,
That's
Karen.
basically what I have to say.
Thank you for coming. Any questions for Karen? Did you say Karen? I apologize.
Karen Schubert.
Karen Schubert, and you were in Briceville?
No, I'm in
Medford, I
on Ross
apologize.
Cemetery.
Medford, thank you. Sorry about that. Anybody got anything? Thank you again for coming. I know it's hard to make time to come, but it means a lot that you did.
It is.
So drop calls and lines
Yeah.
are down
I
a
got a
lot.
hold of a man in Florida, and he ran something called Einstein on my phone, and it's unreal at the dropped calls and the things that we're missing, internet phones. It's really been hard on our family. I mean, I can't state enough.
Thank you. Who would like to come up next?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Steve brought up an issue that there is competition, okay? I live in Powell.
Hey, Mark, come on up. Come on up so they can hear you on the microphone.
That's what I was wondering.
This meeting is telephone.
Oh,
And it's going to be recorded.
I'll break the cameras, so, sorry.
Sorry, that's the end of your time, sir.
Yeah, I know, yeah. No, you brought up
Mark
the
will
point
come
that
after me, guys, so watch him.
there is some competition, but AT&T's not everywhere, okay? It's not countywide. Well, Comcast
Nice
pretty
comment,
much is countywide. It's the only choice that you've got that is more or less countywide. It's not as restricted as what AT&T is. I live in Powell. I'd have to deal with Frontier, okay? Frontier Communications. AT&T cannot come in on Frontier. That's a protected area. Frontier has a protection clause out in Powell. Do you know about that? Okay. Well, there is. PAL Telephone Exchange is a protected exchange. I don't know how Comcast broke it to bring it in because they do offer telephone and all that also. But when the PAL Exchange was created out there for telephone, they do offer internet, and it's lousy, I can tell you that for a fact. It's a protected exchange. And I don't know how everything works in your all's world as far as what you can authorize or not authorize or anything else, but we need more choices in this county. We don't just need Comcast to be the only choice. I mean, I've got it at the shop, and I don't have a problem with it. It's Comcast business. They're great. It goes down. They come out and fix it. I don't really have a gripe with what Comcast I do have. I have a gripe that I can't get it at my house, and it's right in front of the house. But you talk about there being competition. There's not really competition.
I stated that. There are
Yeah.
parts of the county that there's only one company that gives service. There are parts of this county where no company will give service,
Yeah.
including your house.
Yeah, that's,
See AT&T from my house, and they can't service me.
yeah, y'all need to work on something to get this. That's my gripe. Y'all are supposed to represent the people of the county, and the people of the county need internet. It's a digital age.
Thanks, Mark. Yes, ma'am.
Donna Cornett, 3878 Dutch Valley Road, Clinton.
Go ahead, Don.
All right. I basically really don't know where to start, but basically the stuff that he was saying is the same exact stuff that we've been going through. I have a house and a piece of property at 3845, which Commissioner Val and my sister are currently in process of buying. And so we've tried to get internet there. And we've just been given the runaround for 3 months constantly. We've had people that's supposed to come out. Christy stayed home from work 3 to 4 times and missed time off work. Comcast is supposed to come out. Well, they never show up. They send her a text and say, we're on our way. An hour and a half later, they've never showed up. She calls in. They said, yeah, we closed that ticket because you're unserviceable. And so the next week, they say, we'll open up another ticket. They come out. So she's standing out on the front porch. Comcast goes by, goes to the neighbor's house next door, pulls in. She gets a phone from Comcast about 15 minutes later saying, we were out there, but we're unable to service that house. We were just at your house and nobody was there. She said, no, I was home on the front porch and they went to the neighbors. So they opened up another ticket. And if you'll go back and look at the tickets that's been opened up, it's at least probably 10 to 12 tickets that's been opened and closed for that address. They'll say they're going to send an engineer out. So the next week, the engineer's supposed to show up and they send another technician out. There again, we're not able to do this. So then they put in the system that we have to contact Jeremy Rivers, I think is his name. So we start trying to contact him, unable to reach him for probably, yeah, it's probably a month or so, and no return phone calls or anything. So finally, we did receive a phone call from him after calling in and opening more and more tickets. And I'm like, at what point do you look at your tickets that's open and say, wait a minute, at this address, we've had 10 tickets closed. What's the problem? What point do you not just carry that on and check back? So then we was told that they would send a representative out at our convenience to discuss everything since we've had so many problems. There again, we meet there at 7 o'clock, no show. Nobody shows up. No phone calls or anything. So when I call in to discuss this, I always ask for a supervisor. And every time I get, let you just know that we're going to get back with you. We're going to follow this ticket. And if nobody gets back with you, we'll definitely call you back. And I said, well, I've been told that over and over. Oh, I can assure you, I'm not sure why the other supervisor didn't get back with you, but we will get back with you. Never get back with us. So anyway, when I did talk to Jeremy, he explains that it can't be put there because the pole's too far away and that they would have to pay CUB to come and put up a new pole. And I'm like, okay, so it's $1,400. But if you go on the business side, we'll let you do it, but you've got to go under a 3-year contract, which is $116 a month, and we can assure you that you can get only internet. You can't get TV. So then residential can hook to it, and you can get your TV service, which you're paying residential and business. And I'm like, okay, what's the cost? We'll cover the cost on the business side, but you have to sign a 3-year contract. Add it up, $116 a month times 3 years. Look at what you're promising to pay back. So I go to CUB. So I asked to receive some information from CUB about getting a new pole set closer to the road so that we can get rid of that excuse. CUB comes right out immediately and says, no problem, we can set you a new pole. So I call back and let them know that, hey, I've got the problem fixed. We've got a pole that's going to be sitting closer. Can we get it done now? No, that's really not going to help it's not the pole that's the problem. And so we just go right back over again. So, I mean, it's just a non-ending. And so I needed to get internet at a building behind my house. So I explained to them, look, we've been 3 months trying to get it at this address. I have it now, and I don't want to start this process again just for getting it at my house. So again, we can assure you it's not going to be that way. They show up and it starts the same thing. I've been a month trying to get internet at my house. So I did get a call today before I come here. There's a lady that's finally from Knoxville that's took the case, and she has been good about calling me back, but she lets me know that it's going to be $23,000 to run the line to my backyard. And I said, you're kidding me. I said, we were willing to run the line ourselves. And my mom lives in front of me with Comcast. She's paying probably $150 a month. I'm paying $200 a month, and I'm asking for internet 250 feet behind me, and they're wanting $23,000. But then again, they'll promise to cover that if I go under contract with the business side. So I just kind of think and I'm not one that likes to get anybody in trouble. I wouldn't want to cost anybody their job. All I'm asking for is somebody please do something about calling back, explaining what's going on, meet with us, just do what you say you'll do. So,
Well
but I do
stated.
have to say, we were able to get a hotspot from a company, and so we hooked it up, and the internet is working perfect, and it's $59 a month, if anybody wants to know the information. So, yeah. All right.
Thank you, Donna. Any questions? Anybody else like to say anything about, yes, sir? State your name, your address, please.
All right. I don't have a super big issue because I don't have cable available at my house, so I guess that's the issue. My name is Steve Weaver. I live at 676 Miller Road. I'm directly behind Anderson County High School. In fact, it came off of the same farm that my house is on. And Comcast runs close, but there's a little strip that it doesn't cover. And I do think that that's an issue like everyone has addressed with respect to children, availability of high-speed internet for school, equal playing field. And I understand you might not be able to get anywhere, but one thing I might throw out to the county is there is low-hanging fruit. They service the high schools, I guess. All these other places, it might be something where we could consider a RFP, just put it out there to see if there's any competition for the stuff that they might be willing to overrun or rebuild. Might even save the county some money. I don't know how it works technically, but again, I'm, as the crow flies, within a mile of 122. I mean, it's right there. I hear the sirens and I get the light and all that. So anyway, that's my, I guess, issue is availability. So I think that's something that we might be able to look into and put a little pressure on the Comcast of the world to cover these places. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make this comment that we're talking about no competition. Dish TV is a satellite TV company, and Direct TV is a satellite company with AT&T. So you can get television by satellite dish, and Dish is owned by a guy who used to live in Oak Ridge. He still has a residence in Oak Ridge, Charles Ergen. He owns Dish, and from what I'm reading, he's going to start, or he maybe has already started, offering internet. The lady from Comcast may know that.
I think they do somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where all they do.
but that is an alternative. And there's another company that's getting ready to put up, I'm thinking 1,100 satellites, low orbiting satellites to offer internet. So those places that can't get internet now would be able to get it by satellite dish on their house.
Yes, sir. I get DirecTV. That's who I use for TV. I get my internet through Verizon. I have what they call a jetpack. And it's okay, but it's very expensive, and it's nowhere near competitive to high-speed cable. And it's just not.
Yeah.
My data, I can max it out in 3 days, and then I'm paying a whole bunch. So I can imagine, my children are grown, but if I had young ones doing homework nowadays, I can imagine I'd probably run into a big expense pretty quick. So anyway, thank y'all.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Appreciate you coming. Anyone else out there? Yes, Commissioner Val, then come back to you, Waddell. Okay? Yes, sir.
Since I've been on commission, I've had experiences like this happen 2 or 3 times where a constituent will bring a complaint to me, and I'll start looking into it, and then lo and behold, the same thing happens to me. So it certainly gives you a perspective of where your constituents are coming from when that happens. While I was campaigning during the last campaign, I was on Old Dutch Valley Road, used to be Commissioner McCamey's district, and one of the constituents there, this was his only complaint that he had. He didn't complain about taxes, he didn't complain about the roads, he complained about, it doesn't make sense to me how New Dutch Valley Road can have Comcast and Old Dutch Valley Road can't. That night, I found out from Commissioner McCamey the answer he just gave earlier about the 25 rooftops within a mile and all that. And I told my constituent that, but that still didn't satisfy him. It still didn't make him happy. And then, lo and behold, as my sister-in-law was speaking a minute ago, she explained the situation we had, and I was floored at the answer of, we can fix your problem for $1,400. And then, well, no, you didn't want to fix it the way we wanted you to fix it, so we still can't do it. And I appreciate Comcast being here tonight, I really do. But I guess my voice that I'd like to make here tonight on behalf of District 4 residents and all residents that were here, I'm hearing the same thing from a lot of them. The procedure that Comcast has in place for addressing complaints and concerns doesn't seem to be working very well. If I get a complaint from a constituent in District 4, or Commissioner Isbell, I'm sure would agree with this, and I don't call them back, or I wait a month to call them back, or I say, I'll be out there tomorrow to see you, and I don't show up, and they call me, and then I don't call them back for 2 or 3 weeks, we're not going to get reelected if we seek reelection the next time. I would love to see a procedure developed, a more streamlined procedure, to where Comcast was able to communicate better with the people of the county. I understand Comcast is a big company. When I was a kid, I still remember going outside and turning the antenna for 3 UHF and VHF TV channels. So we've come a long way in those 40-something years. But I'm not here to beat up on you. I appreciate you being here tonight and listening to our people. But I hope that you've heard the fact that there are several similar complaints coming from all over the county, not just in the rural areas, not just in one area. But if Comcast could really at least find a streamlined process for communication with our people, we would greatly appreciate it. Whether we have a legal avenue to put some teeth to this franchise or not, I would at least hope that Comcast would be concerned with the complaints. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Val.
Just like Commissioner Val said, I hear more from especially Park Lane and the offshoots of the roads of the need for internet. If you got a problem, I guess this is a good problem for Comcast to have, because you have people in my district begging for your service. I would think that Park Lane would meet the 25 houses per mile. There's a lot of houses, and there's still a lot being built, but yet we are struggling to get service up there. This has been one of the hottest items that I've heard of. There's a lot of small roads that only have 4 or 5 houses on it, and the line runs directly by that road, but it doesn't go down that road. And I've asked, you may not be able to answer this, or Commissioner McCamey may be able to answer this, but as I'm told, it's not as simple as just running the line, though, correct? So you have to have, I don't know what you would call it. You got to meet certain criteria, or the service isn't there.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct. We have what you call nodes that serve a number of households. And with the technology, the way it's changing, you do have to have, those nodes can serve less households now.
Kim,
because it's.
would you mind coming up? I apologize.
that's fine.
I feel like I'm making you get up and down.
That's okay.
But this would be good for everyone to hear.
Sure. Certainly with the way that technology has changed, you have certain nodes that feed a number of households. Used to be they would have one node, and you would put an offshoot here, and then you'd put an offshoot on that, and you'd put an offshoot on that, and by the time you got to the end of it, you'd have very, very bad service. And so in order to make sure that the service we do have is good, we do have stricter requirements now on the number of homes that we can serve for those, per node, which does make it more expensive. So it's not just, hey, let's run a line to your house. There is a lot of other technical requirements that come with that.
Well, one other comment from me, and this one's personal. I've been a customer of Comcast for, I think, about 10 years now. I had satellite service before, and every time it rained, my TV show I wouldn't get to watch it, whatever. So we enjoy your product, but every 2 years our bill goes up, and then I have to make 5, 6 calls. Maybe I have to go to Oak Ridge, and I have to argue and fight with them just to keep my bill where it was. And normally, when I do have to go down there, I lose services in order to stay at the same price rate. And I understand that everything goes up, but for current customers, for customers that's been there for a long time, normally you get a little bit of a break because you are a continued customer. But I don't want to have to come down and bring my equipment in and have to upgrade all my equipment just to get the new promotion. I really want to pick out a package and a price, and I just want to stay there.
Well, I think we've been listening to our customers. That's certainly been something, I think we've made a lot of good strides in customer service, or we've tried to make good strides in customer service. I'll address the issue of when you go through our stores or through our customer service, our customer service agents are really great at handling the billing issues and other things like that. They are not great at handling the unserviceable, or is this serviceable, and that gets into our construction department, and sometimes you're dealing with folks that aren't necessarily our customer service agents, and I think that's where certainly we have some processes that we need to improve, and I certainly hear that. I will say we do have a new product, or a new way to get our products now, that's called Simple and Easy, and that does let you set a price where you don't go through the promotions and do that. So that is something that's come out in the last 3 months, I believe. That is something that the company is being responsive to those customer issues that we've heard for years and years and been doing. So that is something that you can certainly look at, switching over to that, which is a set price, no promotions. Bill's not not going to change, is going to handle that. So that is something that where we've been hearing and trying to be responsive to the customers on that front. So I do understand that frustration. And we've been working on it. We're trying to work on it. But I appreciate you guys being here. I will take all of the information about the specific complaints and do my best to make sure that we follow up on these and contact everybody. And I will also let you guys know, again, I said you do have my contact information. If you guys get additional complaints from your constituents that you'd like to pass along, I'm happy to run those through as well and do our best to get the answers as best we can on those.
Commissioner Scott?
Thank you. I've been keeping an eye out of what's being said on Facebook, and I told people that I would be bringing their comments forward. Unfortunately, you've earned the title from going from Comcast to Clowncast, and they're referring to the poor customer service. You were saying that it's good customer service at the counter. I can only suggest that if you're going to put someone in a position to be standing behind a counter to represent your company, that they know what they're talking about and that they're able to help the people that are asking them questions on the other side, as opposed to saying, well, we'll have to get back to you, or that's not something I can fix. Stations, it's like Commissioner Waddell was saying, stations drop. From, being a person who has just basic cable, I get better channels off of rabbit ears. Yet I'm having to pay for the service so that I can get the commission meetings and I can get my city council meetings and be able to keep on top of some things that are going on in my community. But unfortunately, it was like I was saying before, I can see AT&T from my front door. They can't give me service because everyone on the street has Comcast, and as a result, they're not going to cross the street. You do have to come up with servicing areas such as Walden's Ridge. I went out on a ride-along with one of the sheriff's department's deputies, and it was a Saturday night, and it was about 1:30 in the morning, and there were kids in the street. And he says, oh, this happens all the time. I said, the kids come out to play at 1:30 in the morning? He said, no, they can't get cell service. So what they do is they walk up and down the street. They're playing video games, if anything, but they're out walking along the street because they can't get service, whether it's at their own house or wherever. Our schools have the Chromebooks, which are computers. The kids are being sent home to do their homework on these, and they're being told, go to the library or the local McDonald's. You've got to do something for our county. You've got to.
Well, one of the things that we have looked at, and I'd be happy to look at and, talk with you more about it, although it certainly is a competitive process, but one of the things that has happened in the last few years is that the state has now put forward some rural broadband grants that have given the ability for people to, we're certainly, when our company looks at making a decision about can we serve an area, certainly we're a for-profit company. We have to answer to our board of directors. So that's certainly something that we look at, but we understand that this is an issue, and all over the South, we are looking at, rural broadband. We did apply the first year for 3 grants, and we were able to get one out in rural West Tennessee in Tipton County, and we're almost done building out that. That was one where we put in about 75% of the money for it, and we're able to get about 25% of the money from the state to do that, which is one which, frankly, we would not have been able to build out otherwise. We would not have met payback for the company, and we would not have gotten approval to build out otherwise. And that's something that we looked at. We applied last year as well. Unfortunately, we didn't receive any grants last year, but we did apply for some areas last year as well. And that's something, if there are specific areas or issues that the county would like to look at, I'm happy to meet with you individually or as a group to see if that's something. The next round of grants, the applications are due in October, and so we are now kind of looking around to see, where do we have where we might be able to make plant extensions and do some of those. So I will say that that's not a magic, silver bullet answer to any of the problems that you guys are are addressing. But it is something that, as a company, we are looking at, which frankly we probably wouldn't have a few years ago. But we do recognize that there is this real need for people to have internet, and so we are willing to look at things like that, which we wouldn't have been willing to do in the past.
Well, and I appreciate that there's grants out there, and you did say the magic words, big company. You're a very, very large company, and I realize that you're for profit, and that's great. But if you want to make money, you've got to service the people that you want to make money from. You can't go charging someone, $4,000 or $23,000 for them to put up the pole to get your service. You've got to reach out to our community, to our county, and give the kids the service that they need to get the education that they require to get further in life. I mean, it shouldn't be up to us. It shouldn't be up to them to put a pole up in front of their house so that you can run a wire.
I agree. I understand that.
Okay.
But we do face challenges. It's expensive to put these cables up. We pay expensive rates to pole companies.
Sure, but it's expensive for them to have service.
Oh,
And
no.
believe
I
it or
know.
not-
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying it is the reason that other companies are not coming in to do it is because it is very, very expensive to make your money back on it.
We're in the electronic age.
And so we
Step up. That's all I'm asking.
I appreciate it, and I'm willing to take a look. I'm here. I'm willing to take a look. I'm willing to talk about it with you guys to see what is possible for us to do. But it is an expensive venture to be able to provide the technology that is now. It is not as simple as running a telephone line like it has been in the past. It's a very expensive venture, which is why it is very difficult and why there aren't a ton of companies coming in and doing it. So we're certainly willing to talk about it and see what possibilities there are.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Thank you, Kim. I know there's a couple other commissioners who want to say a couple things, but Kim, I want you to know Anderson County is open for business for anybody. And I understand you work for a company and you got things to do, but the technology is moving, as you well know, at warp speed. I keep having something pop in my mind. In my district, District 1 in Claxton, we're going to be shutting down the Bull Run steam plant, and we're going to have all this infrastructure with power lines and things like that. And it would make sense to me that we team up with a company that can use that footprint and that infrastructure to expand, because I think the technology is going way above from what I know, and there's a need for storage space and all these kinds of things, computers and whatnot. Again, way above me. This fellow here knows a lot more than I'll ever think to know, but I think those kinds of things are stuff we need to look at as we move forward. I'd like to see Anderson County, specifically that area, used to move us into the next generation of, I want this county to be on the cutting edge, not the edge that's cut.
Sure.
But go ahead, Commissioner Creasy, and it came out, I don't know if you had something else.
Yeah, and I want to follow up with Mrs. Hayden was talking about is rural broadband. And in Congress, that's one of the hot topics now, along with health care, probably rates right up there with health care. Congress is pumping millions of dollars into the states, funneling it into the states to bring broadband and internet to rural areas, rural counties. And we here at Anderson County Commission formed a committee last year, called it the Broadband Committee. And we met for several months, and I want to applaud the mayor for having that initiative. We met and we applied for those grants that Mrs. Hayden was referring to. We were unsuccessful. We had picked places like Briceville, Dutch Valley, and an area up in your district. And we had 3 areas picked. We were confident we were going to be successful in getting a grant from the state, that federal money that Congress is trying to get the internet to these rural areas. We didn't get it. The committee has just kind of relaxed now, but I was doing some more research recently, and the mayor and I were talking about it at last meeting. Anderson County is not judged by Congress as being a rural county. It doesn't qualify for the rural broadband grants as such.
And that's not the same for the state grant. So the state grant will qualify any area that has less than a 23 megabit internet, and they prioritize anything that has less service than a 10 speed, 10.1 speed. So the state grant is a little bit different.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But I was surprised, I wanted everyone to know that the feds doesn't consider. They consider Morgan County, Scott County, Campbell County, but not Anderson as being a part of that group. Now, there are some Congress persons that are opposing that judgment of Congress, and they're asking them to reevaluate that list. I don't know if Anderson will be included then or not, but we're hoping. But there is help on the way, because there's a lot of money coming into the state from the feds to get internet to the rural counties.
Thank you, Commissioner Creasy. McCamey, and I'll come back to you, Meade, okay?
I just want to point out that we have a representative from Comcast and AT&T that's on our HCTV board. Russell Byrd, for years, was our contact, and he attended all of our meetings. Katie Brown, who took his place, attended all of our meetings, and I hope for Kim's sake, this is her first drive from Nashville, that they'll have somebody in place by the time we meet, and then that person will be our contact for Anderson County.
Thank you.
Yep. Happy to have someone sit on that board.
Thank you.
Who's in that position.
I know the biggest concern for most people is internet. It's really what they're looking for, okay? But I do want to point out that in Oak Ridge and a lot of parts of Anderson County, particularly the southern side, if you got to look to see how you can get a look at Sharps Ridge and North Knoxville. But I got a lot of friends in Oak Ridge that get 40 HD channels for free just by pointing a digital antenna at Sharps Ridge. I bought an antenna, put in my house, but I'm just over the ridge enough that I can't get that view, so I sold it to a buddy. And he's just a half a mile from me, and he gets 40 channels, high definition, and that's just off the air. Now, it is commercial TV, it's not Netflix, it's not, all these other companies, but at least it does provide all the local news and the major networks.
Thank you, Commissioner Meade. Anyone else have anything? Kim, thank you for coming. It
Thank
means
you
a
for
lot.
having me.
Thank you for giving us information. Did everybody sign in? Steve, did you sign?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
You did, great.
And I've got some notes here too, Kim. I'll
Okay.
put them together and email you what I have just in case we missed something.
That'd be
And,
fantastic.
Can we look forward to hearing back from you, or what's the process?
Yes, you certainly will hear back from me. I will have someone contact everyone individually. That will not be me, but I will follow back up with you and the committee and share the resolution or where we are with all of those.
And I appreciate that, and I would just ask from my standpoint that you contact them first before you contact
Sure,
us.
yes, definitely
Thanks again.
will.
Safe travels back to Nashville.
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully we'll see you again sometime.
Thank
To
you.
conclude the workshop, the meeting, the public meeting was postponed, so we don't meet until 6:30.
Don't we have to have the public hearing on that rezoning?
It was withdrawn. Yeah.
So
They're going back and regroup and reapply.
So we'll stand adjourned to 6:30. Thank you.